Hi, my name is Christy Norick, and I am part of the Southern Illinois Professional Development Center, which is a part of the Illinois Adult Education Professional Development Network. And I'm here today giving you a lesson on percentages in sales careers. Throughout the lesson, if you hear me talking about worksheets, you can find links to the worksheets below in the description. If you don't have access to that or you can't print them out to write on them, you can always use what's on the screen, pause the video, and write your answers in a notebook. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Let's get started. Let's think about first any job that maybe you've had in the past, you have now, or you know of someone who has. How do you get paid? Right? Common ways of getting paid are hourly, so you get paid a certain amount every hour you work, maybe salaried, a certain amount of money per year, or commission-based jobs. And some common commission-based jobs are car salesman, a travel agent, or a real estate broker. And these people get paid a certain amount of money out of the whole that they sell. So I want you to think for a minute if you've ever worked a commission-based job or if you know somebody that has, how that has worked for them, right? What is the percent that they were paid? Was it fair? Did you enjoy it or did that person enjoy it? How does that work? We're going to talk about how to calculate the percentage someone would get paid through commission today. Let's talk about vocabulary words first. Commission is our first word, percentage, decimal, real estate, mortgage broker, and profit. Let's look at the definitions for each. Commission, as I said, is the money that's paid to a salesperson or an agent, which is usually a percentage of the product that they're selling. So a certain percent of the house or a certain percent of the car, the total amount. Percentage is part of a whole that's expressed in how much out of 100. A decimal is a number that uses something called a decimal point to show whole numbers and then parts of a whole number. Real estate is the industry of buying and selling homes. A mortgage broker is a person who helps secure a loan for someone interested in buying a home. And the profit is the amount of money that's made after the sale. So if you'd like to pause the video and look at these words again, or go back and hear the definitions again, you can. You can also take out your phone and use this QR code to scan and practice these words on your phone. You can do it as a game, as flashcards, as a quiz. Take as much time as you need to practice. If you need to write them down or say them out loud or move around as you practice these words, whatever helps you learn them as you feel comfortable, and then you can move on with the lesson. So when you're ready, let's start talking about how to calculate a commission. It involves, as I said, using something called percentages. And usually you're going to hear about a percent that the person will make for their commission. So they make a 3% commission or a 4% commission. So you take that sale price of the car or the house or whatever they're selling, and you have to find the percentage of that total price to know how much the person's making to calculate their commission. So let's look at an example. Jeff works as a real estate agent. So remember, what does real estate mean? What are we talking about? Homes, right? We're talking about buying and selling houses. So he has just sold a house that was $230,000. If Jeff makes a 3% commission, so the money he's going to take home from that sale, how much will he make when it's sold? Okay, so remember 3% percentage is part of a whole, part of the total cost. So we need to find out what 3% of $230,000 is to find out how much money Jeff's going to make. So a percentage can be changed to a decimal to say the same thing. Percent means out of 100. So 3% is 3 out of 100. We can also write it as a decimal, as I have it here, 3.0, right? 3.0 is the same as 3. So 3 out of 100 is 3%. And this little decimal point needs to move to a different place for us to continue on to find out his commission. If 3 is out of 100, that decimal place needs to move to the hundredths place. That 3 needs to be in the hundredths place. We had to move it so we get that 3 there. So the decimal is going to move to the left 1 and 2 times. So instead of the 3 being here, it's going to be in the hundredths place, and the decimal is going to move to the left twice. Okay. So 3% is 3 out of 100. As a decimal, we want to write 3% as 0.03. That decimal moved 2 places to the left. Okay. We're then going to take that decimal and multiply it by the total number of the sale to find out what the commission is. So if the house was $230,000 and Jeff's commission was 3% or 0.03, we multiply $230,000 by 0.03 and we find his commission, $6,900. So Jeff will make $6,900 when he sells the house. It's a pretty good amount. Well, let's think about, in another example, what would happen if Jeff's commission was not 3%, but 3.5%? A little higher. You probably could guess that his commission would be a little more. So let's work on that one. First, remember, we're going to drop the percentage sign and we're going to change it into a decimal by moving that decimal place 2 points to the left. So instead of the 3 being here, we have to move it over here to the hundredths place. So 3.5% now becomes 0.035. 0.035. That decimal point moves 2 places to the left. Now, remember, we're going to multiply that total sale of the house by the commission percentage in decimal form. So if the house was $230,000 and Jeff's commission was 3.5%, we're going to multiply $230,000 by 0.035. And our answer is $8,050. Jeff will make $8,050 when he sells the house. You can see that's a difference from 3% to 3.5%. It makes a difference what your commission is in percentage. The higher the percent your commission is, the higher amount you'll make and take home. You can pause the video and go back and look at this example again if you'd like to. If you feel comfortable, we're going to move on and do some practice yourself. So on the screen, I'm going to have 10 questions, and you can download this in the documents below, or you can pause the video and look at the questions here. This is numbers 1 to 5. You'll follow the same steps that we just talked about to find how much the person will make. And here's numbers 6 to 10. Let's take a look at the answer to number 1 if you are ready. So number 1 says a house sold for $130,000. The real estate commission was 4%. How much did the realtor make from the sale? Okay, so remember our steps. We're going to change the percentage into a decimal, and then we're going to multiply by the total sale number. So $130,000 times 0.04 is $5,200. That means this realtor is going to make $5,200. You can check your answers in the documents below for the rest of the questions. To finish our lesson today, I want us to take a minute to think and reflect. As we've learned about how to use math to find percentages for commission-based jobs, I want you to really think about what this means for you. You can write this down in a notebook. You can talk to a family member or a friend if they're nearby. But first, I want you to think about what are the pros and the cons of having a commission-based job. So what are the positive things and what are the negative things? And then number 2, would you personally be interested in a sales job? And if so, which type of job? sales for a home, a real estate job, a car salesman, maybe a travel agent, as we said, maybe something different that you can think of. Just think for yourself, what do you care about? What do you value? And what might be good for you in this situation? I hope you learned a lot today, and please feel free to go back in the video and rewatch anything that you need more practice on. But I hope you're able to take this with you as you consider future jobs and future ways of bringing in money.